controller told us that these objects have been observed for over 2 weeks, coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is space.
Is there a correlation between any of the characteristics of these UAPs, UFOs?
What we tend to see are the smaller vehicles tend to be, think of a sports car. The large ones tend to be, not always, but almost exclusively either triangular shape or boomerang shape.
Werewolves? I see dead people walking around like regular people. They don't see each other. They only see what they want to see. They don't know they're dead.
The UFO, UAP community was fairly surprised. Shocked might be a better word.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came to some of these recoveries.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human.
Do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose there would be.
Oh, I've seen a flying saucer.
You've seen one?
Yes, definitely. At Lane Cove.
When was it?
1953.
You don't think this is a figment of your imagination?
Several other people with me saw it.
There is now a new UFO whistleblower with some major bombshell-level statements.
There is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
This episode is brought to you by some amazing people. Mecha Mickey, Jason Finch, Timoth Man, Sir Bryan Bowden, Jay Grove, Intergalactic Wrangler, Kelly Lewis, Patrick O'Leary, Multifaceted Jules, Shelley Montgomery, Aaron's Energy 313, Eric Booth, The Diz Loki, Nathan from the Quantum Show, Gary T, T-Bone, Richard Harrison, Eddie Tabb, Diane Boss, and Jeanette Angel. And a special thank you to all of our subscribers on YouTube, on Spotify, and on Rumble. If you wish to support the podcast, you can hit the join button below to become an Eyes to That Sky member. Or if you want to join our Patreon or provide other support, the links are below in the show description. But now, on with the show. Welcome to the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters podcast, where we explore the unexplained and mysterious phenomena that have occurred throughout the state of Michigan and beyond.
From UFO sightings to ghostly encounters, we delve deep into the stories, the evidence, and the theories behind these strange events.
We are your hosts. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Wayne.
We are an educator duo that after an encounter with a triangular UFO in 2018 in Michigan, we decided to investigate UFOs and the paranormal. In this podcast, we will be speaking with eyewitnesses, experts, and researchers to uncover the truth about some of the most intriguing cases of paranormal activity in and around Michigan.
Our goal is not to convince anyone of the existence of these phenomena, but rather to provide a platform for discussion and exploration. So, buckle up and join us on this journey down the paranormal rabbit hole.
on an escalator.
Well, hello, everybody. It didn't unmute automatically.
Oh my God. I actually said some funny shit.
Usually when we pop on like this, it automatically unmutes. Well, it didn't. So anyways, let's try this again.
Read the script.
Welcome to another episode of the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters podcast. Oh my God. So silly. It is Sunday, June 15th, 2025, and it is Father's Day. Michelle, what were you just saying about Father's Day?
I said, even if you're the father to a fur baby, they are just as needy as children.
Yes, they are.
I can't go in the kitchen without our three following, thinking that they're going to get either catnip or a treat. So.
Yeah, since we started giving them some little treats, they are insane. But anyways, we are still broadcasting from inside our secret bunker hidden within the shadows of the great Motor City, Detroit, Michigan, as we get ready to dive into Weaponized Belief. Is misinformation dividing UFO researchers and also cryptid researchers? So we're going to be talking about that. And we could probably apply misinformation, disinformation, dividing people. We could probably apply that to just about everything nowadays.
From what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, from the mainstream to the paranormal to the UFOs, as we're going to be joined by the guy that has his finger on the pulse of just about everything in the zeitgeist and is the host of Third Eye Live. Did I get it right, Michelle?
You did get it right this time.
Sir Bryan Bowden. So we'll be bringing him on in a minute, but first, let's try this again.
This is where we need a blooper reel. This is the blooper reel.
Well, it can't be a blooper reel if there's no sound. So
it's the blooper within the house.
So, you know what? I stayed up too late last night watching Donnie Cho Says. And that dude had me in tears with his Church of Dogman. Guys,
and wasn't it a rerun?
Yeah, he was replaying because I think Bigfoot Michigan Rob was supposed to be on his show last night and he had some stuff come up. So Donnie just went ahead and played one of his own old episodes. Anyways, Michelle, take away the announcements before I start thinking about it too much and cracking up. It was hilarious.
Well, besides Wayne's story, if you have a story that you would like to tell or share with us, please make sure that you contact us at the show at mi.ufo.podcast@gmail.com. Wayne, this is all your fault. Now I'm having brain farts.
Dude, it's like you said earlier. It's like we need about a week to deprogram from the stress and the school system that's out there. Also, if you would like to support the podcast, you can do so with PayPal, Super Chats, buy us a coffee, check out our merchandise store, or join the Patreon. All of those links can be found below in the show description. And if you decide to become a YouTube member or a Patreon member, you will get a shout out during the intro and be listed in the credits at the end of the show as a thank you for your support.
Guys,
it's only coffee in here too. It's only
seriously. So don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and please share us out.
Or maybe not. This show is absolutely horrible, so maybe you don't want to share us out and embarrass yourself.
Wayne, get yourself together.
Oh my God. Remember, you can also find this show on audio podcast hosts everywhere. Look us up on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, among others. Get over there and follow the audio version of the show and leave us a review.
Really?
Well, it does help us grow.
Well, here's the issue with all this, guys. We're normally night owls. During the summertime, we're out till 2, 3,
facts,
4 in the morning. And we need to start conditioning ourselves right now because we're getting ready to take a flight next weekend. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yep.
But it is taking a little bit longer than normal. I know that we're only a few days in. I got out on Wednesday. Wayne got out on Thursday. I'm figuring within a couple more days. So I think I went to bed about 2 a.m. last night.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think I went to bed about 2 a.m. and I still I'm still waking up at my normal time of like 5:35.
This guy was talking about a nap.
Yeah. I don't ever take naps.
No, he wanted to take a nap earlier, and then I told him I was making him dinner. So
yeah. And by the way, Gary, thank you very much with a super sticker of $9.99. My favorite number.
Oh, thank you, Gary.
Gary, you are awesome. Thank you, sir.
The little flying creature on YouTube. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Michelle, next Sunday is June 22nd. What do we got going on?
It is June 22nd, guys. We are going to be taking off and flying into Reno from Grand Rapids, Michigan, where they will delightfully shuttle us down to South Lake Tahoe. So we are going to be in Tahoe for a few days as we celebrate Wayne's double nickel birthday because he wasn't quite happy.
What'd you
with
call me?
Double nickel.
Ooh,
55.
Be careful what you're saying there.
So anyhow, he was not happy with his 50th birthday during COVID when I arranged a huge drive-by birthday for him because we know how all of that went 5 years ago. So I decided to surprise him with a nice trip to South Lake Tahoe where we're going to have some fun, go out on the boat, go see Emerald Bay.
We're going to go eat at Gordon Ramsay's kitchen. Gordon Ramsay's place. Yeah.
Yeah. Go to Hell's Kitchen, walk around town. I don't know. I find it very peaceful there.
I like the mountains.
So
and maybe we can go hunting for giants or Bigfoot while we're there.
Oh, yes. We will definitely go to that one store that has Bigfoot outside of it. And Lord only knows what we'll buy. I think I bought some Bigfoot stuff last time we were there.
Yep.
So,
well, Michelle, let's talk to some people in chat and say hello to some people. Look at all the people in chat. Let's see. Who do we got?
Oh, Diane's talking about, I thought eventually I do want to come to Forks, Washington. I have to come to the setting of Twilight. So,
all right. So, yeah, Twilight. Ugh. Blue Crossroads, Diane Boss obviously is here. Gary, again, thank you for that super sticker. We have Jason Finch, Jay Hall, Straw Dog 1,
Rick Davis, Blue Crossroads, Nathan from the Quantum Show.
We have, let's see, Lance is in there right now. Who else? You said Rick Davis, Jason. Yeah. I think that's everybody right now.
Yeah, and if we miss somebody, it's because Wayne is slap happy and didn't have his nap.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an interesting show. It's going to be an interesting show.
Speaking of the man, Donnie Cho, I think you're the reason that my husband's slap happy today. So he said he needed a nap because he stayed up so late watching your episode about the
Church of Dogman.
The Church of Dogman.
I signed up. I am a member of the Church of Dogman now. So absolutely. I was in tears. I was laughing so hard with him and Jason.
That was pretty entertaining last night. And then I went to bed and Wayne was still up.
So anybody that's listening or watching us right now, if you have not found Donnie Cho Says Stuff on YouTube, please go to his page and subscribe and watch his stuff. It's hilarious. It's kind of like a parody type of thing on UFO. Nothing is really taken seriously on, on his channel, and it's just a lot of good fun. And the Church Dogman so far has been
and I want to do a shout out to any of our friends in the northern region of Michigan or even in the Thumb area. Email the show with any must-sees around the Saginaw Bay area. Wayne and I are going to do a little bit of sightseeing up on one of the peninsulas coming up in August. And I know that we're going to have a couple nights there. And besides taking the binoculars and watching eagles, just wondering if there's any places around there that we definitely need to check out. So email the show if you have any of that information.
That's right. So Joe Stewart is here. Welcome. And okay, I think we need to get this show on the road. What do you think? Let's bring the man of the hour on. He's actually in New York right now.
Get him on here.
Let's get him on here because we're going to talk about all kinds of good stuff tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring on the host of, and let me make sure I get this right, Third Eye Live, not Blind, Live. He's not in that band. It is Sir Bryan Bowden. What's up, Burr?
How are you? I was going to do the mute thing, but I decided not to. Or I was going to do the flashlight, and the
look.
Yeah.
Everything on this show is planned, sir. There are no mistakes. We make zero mistakes on this show. Everything is perfect. And in post-production, it'll sound so good when I'm done.
I was like waving, making
Dude, I was locked in. I was over here locked in on our intro script, man. I was like, I don't see nothing.
Yeah, no. I mean, it sounded like you were having a great conversation.
I was. That nobody.
It would be great. You need, what is it, the TTY or whatever it is, for the DAF that comes up.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. Did you hear that? I don't know. Or have I'm waiting for the virtual sign language thing to pop into the box. That would be really cool, actually.
There should be like some kind of a button that you can hit like on your end that makes something flash over here, or I don't know, text the phone or something. Like, dude, like I'm just sitting there just yapping away.
Yeah, I mean,
I look and I see everybody saying no sound, no sound, no sound.
It would be good. Even private chat on this doesn't ding you or alert you or do something. It's like useless. But it's good to be here and see everybody. Diane, Blue Crossroads, John Strawdog, who was in earlier, Donnie.
Yep.
I did Donnie's show. We did a show and he did a video.
Oh, dude, the video intro on Donnie's show.
That was off the chart.
That was gold. Like the Dog Man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's Donnie Joe and K-pop.
Yeah.
I went to K-pot. I actually texted Donnie yesterday. We went to the Korean barbecue hot pot place, and you get the meat and you cook it, and
I don't like it.
Well, it was better when my sister-in-law would just make it. So she's Korean, but they don't give you enough like oil or anything to cook it. Yeah.
No. So,
yes, sir.
Tonight
and ma'am. Happy Father's Day, everybody, though.
And back at you.
Weaponized
belief, man. Weaponized belief. Is misinformation dividing UFO, and I could say cryptid researchers? let's just kind of start there and see where we're going, because I think we've got a problem.
We've got a major problem. Speaking of that, I went to sleep kind of late, not like super late, but I got up at 4:44 a.m. The last 3 nights, the same individual has been in my sleep pattern, and then my brain went on, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go to sleep, so I just got up. I'm exhausted right now. I don't normally do naps, but when I heard nap, I was like, yeah, I'll go to bed. But so there was a post from somebody on Facebook about Todd Standing, who is a researcher, a Bigfoot Sasquatch researcher. He's the one that gets all the up close videos of Sasquatch and whatever. And he's warning you about these cryptids. And in the video, 22 minutes long, Todd talks about how, these things are evil. There's some people that have mind speak with them, and they ask questions like, who are you? Where'd you come from? Do you know who God is? And Bigfoot, Sasquatch knows who God is. And then the problem was when they asked, well, do you know who Jesus is? And the Sasquatch didn't know who Jesus was, from some individuals that have mind speak with it. So he says they're Nephilim. See, this is the problem. The division comes in many, many forms. I'm a believer in God. Okay. I'm a believer in Jesus as well, and to a certain degree. I believe God is God and Jesus is a messenger of God. That's the difference. Some people believe Jesus is God. So, anything that goes against Jesus as God, you're Nephilim, you're the demons, you're the devil. So that's a really hardcore weaponization and a really grand assumption with these cryptids. I don't personally. The ultra right, religious right, is really overshadowing any real true research. Because if it goes contrary to the religious belief, then it's bad, or it's a demon. Extraterrestrials, demons. No, they're not. Because I've had plenty of interaction with these. I haven't had mind speak. I'm waiting for that moment, which I'd love. But, again, I go with the philosophy that God is God and Jesus is even the Son of God or a messenger of God. That's the Messiah. That's what he was supposed to be, a messenger of God. So if you ask somebody, do you know who God is? I'm like, yeah. Do you know who his messenger is? No. And Jesus is the messenger. As long as you know who God is, what makes you think that that thing is a Nephilim? Now, don't get me wrong. These, this isn't like Harry and the Hendersons. They do have cannibalistic abilities. Some of them are real nasty. Some of them are stay away. There's so many different variables here, but you can't pigeonhole people into one spot. Just like there's some researchers talk about weaponization, they're flesh and blood. They don't even believe in that wooey side of the equation. But when you have an experience where you were flesh and blood, but you see it do things that are totally out of that scope, are you going to be flesh and blood again? Or are you going to stick by your guns and that's the hill you're going to die on? The same thing goes with UFOs. Now, my personal opinion about the UFO phenomena, and I think you have some experience with our military, Wayne. All the people that are talking about the UAPs, because that was switched up. That's a narrative, though, but that was switched up because UFOs have a bad reputation. You're crazy. No, they're unidentified flying objects, not aerial phenomena, because it doesn't necessarily come to the air. I mean, there's also USOs, unidentified submersible. So all these people that are coming out, like Lou and you name them, and they work within the government. You know what's really interesting? Does everybody know what Lou does for a living for the government? He lies. He deceives.
He's a spy.
Yeah, he's a spook. He's a misinformation person.
Yeah. He's counterintelligence.
Right.
And Can I clarify for a second, Brian?
Please do, because it's important.
It is important because I think I know where you're going to go with this. And for everybody to understand, now I have nothing against Lou Elizondo. We need counterintelligence officers, and I got his book and everything. I'm making my way through it, all that good stuff. Is it true? Is it not? I don't know. But here's what a counterintelligence person does. A counterintelligence person in the military goes into a bar where some of the other side might be having a beer. Okay. He'll saddle up at the bar and be like, so what's going on, guys? Make small talk and all that good stuff. But what he is trained at doing, like a lot of these guys and CIA and all of these guys, they're very good at pulling out of you what you and your military, or at least your commanders, or where you're at within your position, what you actually know about Lou and who Lou is working with. They don't know Lou is working with somebody. All Lou is doing is trying to figure out, what do you know about the US and our capabilities? That's counter intel. And then he goes and he tells his superiors, hey, they know we have a submarine that can do 85 miles an hour because so-and-so said that they tracked something like that underwater before. And that's what they told me. So now we know what you know that we know. Right? That is counter intel. It's not like you're going to go out and kill somebody who's in intelligence on the other side. No, you use them for information, because information ultimately is the key, as we're seeing in the Middle East yet again. Right?
Yep. And support of that
correct.
Information.
Now, misinformation, disinformation. Here's what Lewis said in the past. He wasn't a UFO guy. He got brought into this because of his unique skill set in counterintelligence. So that means Lou is going to all of these UFO things probably before anybody knew who Lou was, and learning what is it Roger Salas and all of these guys that, the one guy who was down in the missile tube, and the guys in Rendlesham Forest, and they're all doing their press conferences and stuff. He was probably getting information from them months beforehand.
Yeah.
And he's taking that back to his leaders. Here's what they're saying about UFOs. Does it sound like an F-117? How about a B-2? How about a TR-3B? They're saying they're seeing this. And the guys are going, yeah, okay, well, thanks. Now we know what they know.
Right.
They're not even close. Good job.
Right. Or they are close, and we have to change protocols. See,
Sure.
here's the catch where I know they're all full of, crap.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all lying because it's a smoke and mirrors game.
That's right.
If he was actually telling the truth, if everybody up there was actually telling the truth, and a lot of this truth for Grush is hearsay. It's a lot of hearsay. Do you know that most, if not all of those people that testify still have their security clearance?
Yep.
And that's all you need to know, that it's all BS. If you are truly discussing things that are real, like we have UFOs and whatever, and you are in a position where you have a security clearance, you're never going to have it again. Okay? That if he says, I don't have a security clearance anymore, I'm not allowed to go any by bases or whatever, and that would add more credibility to his story. But they all have security clearances. And again, I'm not criticizing him. I do appreciate what these men and women do for our country to keep it safe and secure. I don't necessarily like all of it, but it needs to be done. It's being done throughout the world.
It's the dirty work.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of dirty work. That's why I like Bob Lazar, because Bob does not have his security clearance. He lost it. And when that's a big difference.
Yeah.
A huge difference. So there it is. And then what they do is, in getting to the title of the episode, these people are working. They're weaponizing and, divide and conquer certain
Manipulating.
people. Yep. And that's where it comes, because there's a lot of people that believe him. There's a lot of people that believe Stephen Greer. I think he's been working for lettered agencies for the longest time. How does an unknown doctor, or what is it, was Boston, I think it was, or whatever it is.
Yeah, an emergency room doc.
Yeah, how does he brief presidents? How does he do it? Because he has a CIA contact or an asset. That's how he's briefing them. And the doctor thing is a cover. And this is where we are. This is how we have people that are just not open to the fact that part of your NDA, will not disclose, non-disclosure agreement. There's clauses in them. Science Bob, he's always on. He has the Orbis show. I think you guys were on that. He's an NDA guy. I've signed some NDAs as well because of other things, not necessarily with this, but but you're allowed to lie.
That's right.
You are legally allowed to lie and make up shit because you're not allowed to tell the truth. And in lying, what you're doing is you need to keep individuals you're talking to further away from where you are.
Yep.
So this is what happens in the community. Then you go back to the other one. You get the religious people. Aliens are demons. How do we know?
And Brian, is there any historical precedent where the church, any church, and people within church have ever worked for a spy agency?
Oh yeah, there's tons of them.
Exactly.
World War II is huge.
It was. I was kind of being
the Vatican. The actual Vatican is they got Nazis out of Europe into Argentina.
Yep.
And they went to, what is it, Spain first, I believe, and then they went to Argentina.
Yeah.
But was it Spain? Yeah, it was.
They went to South America.
South America, big time.
Yeah.
It's just, if you're going to be in this and do the research in this subject matter, you really gotta collectively take stuff from each side of the equation, right? And you weigh it and you say, okay, here's here. And eventually there will be some certain little patterns that develop, and you'll know who's smoke and mirrors and who's meat and potatoes in this. I've been very vocal about disclosure will never happen unless the extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, whatever you want to call them, decide it needs to happen. Okay? The government, this is so arrogant of humans, like, well, when we decide. No. If a group like Palladians say, you know what, we're going down, we can't deal with this anymore. Hey, we're the Palladians, buy our new album, and this is what it is.
Right.
That's how it'll be delivered to people.
Yeah. I just I think we see this kind of stuff everywhere, and it's huge in the UFO community. I mean,
my God, yeah.
And that's before we even start talking about, the Lou Elizondo counterintelligence, David Grush kind of guys that are now muddying the waters even more, because not too long ago, we had Lou Elizondo at a UFO convention or a meeting or whatever, and he's holding up a picture of this giant disc casting a shadow over these fields that was captured by a private pilot, and it's crop fields.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry guys, I usually debunk this stuff, and I usually, look into this. That was my mistake. This is one I didn't look into. I thought it was legit. Stop it.
No, he got caught.
He got caught
big time. I think it was wasn't it like a Google map image?
Yes.
From like one of the 100%. Initial ones. Yeah.
I mean,
it's just like it's insane. But this is the problem with it. There's so much disinformation. Who do you believe? Now I know. Hey Nathan, you're there. Nathan has his ideas and concepts of it. I don't necessarily agree with it. I like his points. I don't necessarily agree with his theory, but he can back a lot of this stuff up, which is awesome. That's why I want to, I want to talk to Nathan also, and just because a healthy, see, this is the thing. If you really are adult about it, we can agree to disagree. That's one, and we can have a healthy conversation. And when you get into, no, Dr. Greer is right and everything else is wrong,
there it is.
You're done.
Yeah. When you want to subscribe to cognitive dissonance, where you're going to pick sides and discount any kind of nuance and any history that goes along with that nuance, you're in trouble. You're setting yourself up, because our brains are so bipolar. And by that, I mean good or evil.
Yeah.
Right or left. We are duplicitous, right? We are set up that way.
Yeah. You have to have a left and a right.
We are good. They are bad.
Right. We
are them. They are the others. We believe this. They believe that. And that's it. It's like, no. You got to look at the nuance. It's like when I hear people say demons and angels and whatever that these things are, whatever this is, aliens are demons, yada yada. I'm trying to not put modern day rationality on the descriptions they're using, because they are using terminology from 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 years ago that's been passed down from word of mouth. Nephilim, right?
Yeah.
Azazel, all of these different names, and Enoch and all of this stuff. And they're still trying to make that relevant to today, where when we would see that, we wouldn't say that about what these things are. Right. If we even see them. Some people just feel them. Some people are zapped and are standing there having an experience, and then they're back.
Yes, some of it's selective.
Oh, absolutely. And everybody's different. That's the nuance.
100%. And if they want, like, if everybody in this chat and both you and Michelle we're all in a field, there's a really good chance that all of us would see something. But if there was a specific species, culture, whatever you want to call it, and they only wanted you to see it, Wayne, they can land right in front of you. You can say, look at that. Do you see that craft right there? And Michelle and all of us would be like, what are you talking about? There's nothing there. So they can tune in like a radio station right just to you, because each one of us is basically energy and a specific, we have our own electric serial number. We'll use it that way, or IP address that is specific to us and you can be dialed into. Okay. But I really, Nathan put it in there. A lot of this is fear trauma. You need to have, see, the way the world works and the darker side of the world works is you need to have a common enemy so we can control the narrative and everybody's focused on that. And while you're focused on that, they're stealing from your house. So there's a different story on that too. Sure. But it's, I don't know. I mean, my encounters and experiences and my interviews with people who have been abducted or have experienced, some of them just can't wrap their mind around it. So it's when they go the regression route, it's like opening up a bad dream that continues for the rest of their lives. That's why these extraterrestrials, whoever they are, they know that they can understand your constitution. They're really black and white. They don't have that emotional component, the gray, which is a lot of gray in humanity. So that's why they like watching you with children. Like here, they give you some weird thing, and you're like, "What is this?" Like, and then they tell you mentally, "That's your child," and you're like, "No, it's not much." Some people, like mothers, know, like the touch, and there's an emotional component because I don't think they have emotions like us as humans have it. But if they were pure evil or harmful, they wouldn't be allowing you to know this stuff. They would just destroy you. If there were demons don't mess around. They don't have time for games like, oh, I'm gonna throw knives to the wall. No, they just will F you up.
Well, what about the cattle? We're their food, we're their energy. We're, like you were just saying, they feed off of our emotions, kind of a thing, you know. So you don't necessarily want to slaughter your food, right? You're feeding, and this might just be some of them, right? Again, the nuance. We can't just say they're all Palladians.
No, I just use them as an example. I mean, it could be insectoids, it could be lizards, snakes, Bigfoot looking ones, whatever.
Maybe it is non-human intelligences that are interdimensional, that we would consider probably demonic, because they would, you know, use us for their food or whatever, and some of them don't. I mean,
right, the fear aspect of it, when you get that adrenaline going, a lot of these things feed off of that. All the black-eyed kids, you know, the shadow people, even the Mothmen and flying humanoids, they all feed off of that. They love that. It's like Monster Inc. You scare the heck out of kids. And then that's because you get the adrenochrome going.
Correct.
I'm not going into where else that happens, but whatever. And that is something, it's actually created on a daily basis, naturalized. And you can get a prescription for it, and it does certain things to help people out. But they feed off of that. But when you were getting into the flesh thing, all these cryptids, everything in this world can be cannibal. So if there's, you know, humans can eat humans. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, some people call them Sabe. I know about Sabe. They prefer that. That's what they're called. It's an old name for them. Some people say they don't like the name Bigfoot. They would prefer Sasquatch, but the real names are Sabe or Saba, depending on where you are. They can be nice, but they could also eat you. The gray guy behind you, Wayne, you know, that small gray extraterrestrial, which is a drone. It's basically a cloned being, worker bee. And what happens is, you know, when all those cattle mutilations we've had throughout the couple of decades where certain pieces are taken out, that's food. That's a dinner party, okay? But they always talk about the cattle mutilations, but they don't talk about the human. I'm one of the only people that I know of, and I know a lot of people that continually to talk about the human mutilation side. And a lot of times these EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities, clones, escape or get out, and they go on a feeding frenzy. They don't eat with their mouth. They have paws, bigger paws all over their body, and they actually rub it into their skin, and it gets absorbed in, for the most part, on the little ones. I don't know what the big ones do, but the little ones, that's how they enjoy human flesh. No offense, Donnie, but, you know, I was telling my kids, because I'm Korean, you know, my former sister-in-law was Korean, and she told me, when you're in a certain area, you eat whatever protein is available. And that could be pets, what we would consider pets. You know, guinea pigs in part of the country, that's a snack for some people. So it all depends on where you're looking at. Yeah, squirrel.
I mean, look, I know
my old
people
roommate
go squirrel hunting, right?
Yeah, that happened. I was in my up in my room, and I heard my roommate. Yeah, Mom. You know, in the back of the freezer in that tinfoil is the squirrel I shot 2 weeks ago. I'm coming home next week, and I'm going to eat it. Don't throw it out. It's like, okay.
They're just
not my cup of tea. Yeah,
right.
But I mean, this is the weaponization of, and this has there's a lot of UFO sightings, paranormal encounters, cryptid encounters, all this crazy high strange and stuff. But it also stems from the weaponization of different religions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a control narrative. We want to control it.
What about some of these people that are out there who almost act like their encounters and their experiences almost come off as like a religious experience, and they actually turn it into a religious experience To them, they're not demons. These are now angels. Right? They healed me.
It's almost like pareidolia, but in real life. Like I do this all the time because when you're driving like this, there's a whole bunch of great clouds down south in the Florida. When you're driving down south, it looks like The Simpsons. The opening of The Simpsons. It's literally beautiful. But sometimes they're like, oh, that looks like an alligator on its back laughing with its belly up. Or that looks like, something else or whatever. I think whatever makes them able to, their constitution, to be able to handle the experience. And I think a lot of that is influenced by the actual abductors or the ETs or the message they're sending. Because, they're not going to believe that we're extraterrestrial aliens, but they very well may believe that we are angels. And we're just trying to help and do good stuff. That's where you get that aspect of it. But it's not always, it's not a tea party all the time.
Yeah.
Some of these encounters can be like a really good mosh pit in the 80s. You're getting hurt, folks. You're going in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's probably where your probing stories and stuff comes from, a mosh pit that went wrong.
Exactly. I remember when we used to do
body
live
surfing. Be careful where you're putting your hands, bro.
Exactly. What's this goop? What's this black goop coming off that gray guy? I'm thoroughly convinced, and we used to do a live meeting twice a month in New York State. So we do one in Yonkers, which is just outside of New York City. We talk for about 2 hours at a library. And then we would go upstate New York to Red Hook, not Brooklyn, where the Culinary Institute is. And FDR, I think, had his home. And we do meetings there. And I know that our meetings have been infiltrated by people that are very government-based. They want to know what's going on. I can almost
guarantee you right now that there is at least one person from the government watching this live stream right now.
I'm sure.
100%.
They're the a-holes that keep screwing up my text messages. I delete them. They put them back because they want to get it back.
I mean, I bust them on our Facebook group. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's so apparent. And they come in to start trouble, and then I track them down in ways that I know how to do, and I find out that they are at the College of War and something in Virginia, right? I mean, guys,
Virginia Military Institute.
Yeah, stuff like that. It's like, come on, guys.
We've had that, and then we've had. I'm going to put the other category.
Notice all the people start dropping off once I said there was somebody from the government watch. Number of viewers dropped to 0, except for Donnie.
Donnie doesn't care.
Yeah,
Donnie Joe says stuff.
Care. Donnie will just teach them K-pop. So
exactly. So my buddy was standing to the side, and I was talking a presentation, and I caught a UFO for over 5 minutes in Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx. And it morphs. It's a great UFO. And I'm doing the presentation for people. We're watching the full video. Then I slow things down. And there's a guy that kept coming to the really nice guy. But every once in a while, out of the peripheral of my vision, my hand to God, he's vibrating. He's distorting. So as I'm doing this, I'm kind of sitting with my buddy like, and he's like looking at me. I'm like, I don't want to give it away that I'm seeing you distort.
Right.
So I'm thoroughly convinced that not only do we have government individuals coming, but we also may have had beings there.
Yeah.
It's not like you go up to them every day and like, by the way, what planet you're from?
Yeah, that's true. All right. So check this out. Since we started this conversation about 40 minutes ago, I want to share this with you because we started talking about Bigfoot and he's come up. This was just May 22nd here in Monroe, Michigan, just south of us here. Father, son, had credible Bigfoot encounter in Michigan swamp, report says. This is from MLive, Michigan. So it's a news reporter here in Monroe County, an account in which a father and son claimed to have had a Bigfoot encounter in southeast Michigan has been deemed credible. The report was released this week by the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization. Yes, it's real. After the pair claimed to see something strange in a swampy forest near I-75 and La Plaisance Road in Monroe County on May 18th. The father said they were bow fishing near Plum Creek and, listen, railroad bridges when his dog startled something bedding in the marsh. Railroad bridges.
Railroad bridges.
Yep. And I'm not a cryptid dude, but I know that's where Bigfoot and cryptids like to go. It's a
Cryptid
nice little
highway.
path. Yeah.
Yep, cryptid highway.
I heard rustling in a tree to the left and a huge thud hitting the ground from the tree. A big, heavy animal hit the ground and crouched and started moving towards me through brush. The man's account read, "My dog fired off from the right of me toward the creature. The dog almost got to it, but the creature shot off extremely fast through trees and brush. The dog chased the creature up the slope and over the train tracks. I then called for my dog to come back. It was as big as a bear, but it looked like a gorilla. We walked back, but we heard something crunching on the ground behind us. We left." And then it goes on for a little bit more. I don't know, Michelle, you want to read the rest of this?
Well, talking about the investigator?
Yeah, you want to read the rest of that?
Oh, let's see.
So everybody can hear your yummy voice?
She has to unmute because she's coming on with your mic.
Now I'm not on mute. Let's see. The Bigfoot Research Organization, usually it's Straw Dog that tells me I'm on mute.
Right.
Investigator Matthew Moneymaker said he spoke with both father and son.
Stop it, Moneymaker?
I know, that's one hell of a
Sorry,
last
dude.
name. So finding both credible and freshly descriptive about what happened. Moneymaker, the co-host of Finding Bigfoot on Animal Planet, said he asked many questions about the Class A encounter, enough to rule out the animal being a bear. He noted deer are known to be in the area, which apparently are a favorite Bigfoot food. There are lots of cattails around the marsh as well, the report said. Therefore, two things Bigfoots consume, especially in winter, cattails and deer. There are likely other food sources around this marsh as well. Railroad tracks in the area also support a sighting, Moneymaker said, since Bigfoots will walk along railroad beds for long distances. And the railroad beds will sometimes bring them into pockets of woods very close to towns, as in this case. According to the BFRO, purported Bigfoot sightings are relatively common in Michigan, with 226 sightings reported to the organization. Only California, Florida, Illinois, Ohio, Oregon, Texas, and Washington, which has a whopping 725 reports, have more.
Wow. All right, Brian, what's your take?
I would actually have to see more evidence, but I mean, it's a ripe environment for this creature to exist. So I know they're all over the country. When you get to BFRO, Matt Moneymaker, he's very dramatic, and the show that they were doing with Bobo and Cliff, and it lost some of their popularity, so they're not really in the spotlight anymore. So to me, this seems a little bit more like we haven't had a really good Bigfoot sighting in a while. Let's make this it. And there's your weaponization, because he's utilizing it to bring himself back into the forefront and fame and whatever else he gets out of it. BFROs, they do a lot of these Bigfoot tours for $2,000 for you get to poop in the woods for 3 days and go on some kind of expedition. but I would not doubt it. I mean, it's a swampy area. You've got fish, frogs, turtles, and other animals that are dangerous to the area, plus the deer. Plus, do you have moose up there? I think you have a little bit of moose there. No,
No,
they don't come
not
down
where
from.
we're at.
No.
Really?
You gotta go further north.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the area well enough to tell you, but I would believe that there was a sighting. There's no benefit for anybody to say I saw a Bigfoot over here. None.
Well, and here's the thing, I don't want to say, because that's south of where there was a huge craze back in 1965 called the Monroe Monster, where there were additional Bigfoot sightings. In fact, there's the story of, was it a 17-year-old girl? Yeah, haunted Monroe County, Michigan. We borrowed the book from my uncle.
I'm trying to look for that actual story.
So where the creature actually reached into the car and she was attacked.
Yeah.
So,
was it like a hairy hand, or was there some other? What made it a monster? Because you go up to like Connecticut, and there's the Winstead Wild Man, which would be classified as a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch. It's a really hairy bipedal person.
Okay, so there were numerous reports at the time of a large hairy creature terrorizing residents around 1965. Like, this was ongoing. The witnesses reported a creature around 7 feet tall, about 400 pounds, covered in long black coarse hair, screaming and howling.
Oh, so one of those. It's interesting. It's in the 60s and causing all the problems. Like, what kind of trash did he get into, and how much blot acid was on it? Again, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
The notable incident, and this is where the story is that Wayne's trying to find, or will find eventually, was a 17-year-old Christine Van Acker and her mother who encountered a creature that lunged at their car and reportedly touched Christine's hair.
So it's really interesting that sometimes we bring females on Bigfoot expeditions because women cycle. And just like any other, like in the animal kingdom, the female goes into heat, the male smells the heat, and it draws them to it. So you could have a younger Bigfoot that is going through his own, like, I gotta get me some. Like, they don't have spring break in Daytona, it's like, what I'm saying? It's like, and women smell good. They look good. There's other odors that come from them. And it, gets yourself like, come on. I mean, guys that are in this chat know what women can do, to get you crazy a lot of times.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Brian.
Yeah, well, yeah.
My husband's a hair sniffer. Shush.
You can call me Joe Biden.
Yeah. But they have fetishes, and then they go and they get out of control, and they want to touch. You also have a disfigurement section of any species, defects. So a mental incompetence. It used to be something called something else, or disfigurement, or deformity, or Down syndrome, or autism. These are different variables that also invade a lot of these species. So they may not know that they're doing that. They just may, it's kind of like the puppy we have in my house. Got the kids the Australian Labradoodle, which I call an asshole Labradoodle because he's just destructive and he doesn't. But he's going up to everybody. Hey, I'm Simon. Hey, I'm Simon. He doesn't care. He doesn't realize the dog's growling at you. He doesn't want you going near him. Like, hi, I'm Simon. This is what happens. That's why we sometimes like we like to bring women on because it may attract some of them to the area.
Sure.
And we've had an incident where we brought them up to our spot in New York State, 2 women, and we definitely had younger ones, and there was a lot of like, monkey chatter and going crazy that we had to beef up and say, no, they're ours. Put that out there. But this happens all the time. What's the benefit for these two, the father son, for posting it? Zero, right?
No, yeah, exactly.
And these days, the
because
stuff
I can tell you they don't even mention their names, right? So they keep their names confidential as to who they are.
Right. Well, they do that purposely because Matt Moneymaker wants his name in there. And the group, the Bigfoot Research, BFRO. So, but it's like, have you seen what's going on? If it's not a baby video filter now on YouTube, Instagram, and all these things, then it's the Bigfoot stuff, which is kind of cute, but you're overdoing it.
Yeah.
It gets annoying after a while. But some of those scenarios, like this white powder just came out of nowhere, and he's like, "Woo! I haven't slept in 3 days." That happens. Things like this do happen. It's just who's there to report it.
Well, the guy is no longer anonymous as far as the father.
No. Okay.
It's Edward Henry of Monroe, 47-year-old that had his 12-year-old with him. So the child's name is still undisclosed.
Yeah.
If this was the 1960s, the name coming out would be really horrific for the male, the patriarch, because that would be like, whoa, no, we're not. No, she didn't see anything. She made it up because it doesn't look good. But now apparently, people see Jesus in toast now. So, in the wall of my apartment, the walls, there's almost like a shadow of the Virgin Mary on the bedroom wall, and then the walls kind of get like, I'm not gonna say oily, but like condensation on it sometimes. Is that the Virgin Mary it's like, you can say anything today. Some people will be all legit. It's legit. How do you know? I just know. No, I'd have to research more, but I don't have a problem with. Michigan's there's a lot of wilderness in your state.
Well, we are a crazy state when it comes to UFOs and cryptid sightings and stuff. It's really quite amazing. The history that goes way back here with this stuff, and I never learned anything of it until, like I've said before many times, where Michelle and I had our encounter, and it's like, holy crap. And you have all these people telling you hear about the Monroe Monster. Have you checked this out? Have you checked that out? Da, 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 da. And it's mind-boggling.
I always tell one of my friends, he did. I had him on the show, Stevie Stratford. They did a movie on 70 years at Roswell, and what they did was they didn't go to the same usual spots. They talked to the librarian. Really important. They talked to the local historic society individual. These people are dying to talk to you. It is the most boringest jobs on the planet. And if you want to get some really good research and information, go to your library. By the way, because most of these librarians, no matter male or female, have been working the same library for the last 45 years. And they're like, oh, there was this one time in blah, 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 when this strange, someone saw a giant ram. Oh, they do. Yeah. And then they'll tell you where it is on the microfiche.
Yeah.
Because they remember it and they read it. Yep. So that's what he did. He used that information from the librarian, and it was a better movie. It wasn't the same standard, what's his name? The doctor, Stanton Friedman.
Oh,
with the quadruple chin going, it's Roswell, just like Raymond Burr in the original Godzilla. He's looking for something. It gets really crazy. But
yeah,
I mean, I never in my life thought that Bigfoot or any of these cryptids would be close to a city. But there's a report in the 1800s of a werewolf that ended up on Broadway, in New York City, and the police had to battle this thing. Like several dozen police were battled it. So it's like, and then right near me is Yonkers, and I know somebody. One of their friends was hanging out at this park, and there's a railroad, a dead railroad that goes past it because that's their traveling route. That's like their parkway and their highway, and they're sitting there hanging out, and this thing was throwing stuff. They didn't move, so it picked up a log and threw it at them, and it landed like literally within 1 foot of their car. And they said, I've never, it sounded like a freight train coming through the woods. And that's pretty close to an urban environment.
Yeah.
So these things will do it. They do it in public, all the national parks. How many stories have you guys heard of little girls talking about their really hairy friend they would play when they visited some national park? We would have tea parties and whatever, and they're in fact talking about playing with a younger Bigfoot.
I've heard of it. I've not had anybody.
I'm going to try to remember,
but
I have some notes that I'll go through, and I think I may still be in contact with him. I mean, it's since COVID, but this one woman was like, "Yeah, I distinctly remember we would go to Yellowstone or whatever it was." And every year, every summer, when we do camping, and there was some kids there that came back, same kids, so they would play with them. And there was always this one weird kid that would be there that always needed a haircut, smelled funny, but was the nicest person. And she's literally describing a Bigfoot.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard. Like I said, I've heard of that before, and it might have been somebody talking on one of the shows I happened to catch at some point and had going on. And
I mean, I think
they're describing it.
Yeah, I know. I can kind of see the person's face in my head, but the name slips me at this point because it's such a while ago.
All right.
But yeah.
Well, let's change gears here for a minute. Any idea what's going on with this UAP congressional hearings? It's just poof. Just kind of disappeared. What do you think's going on?
There's another narrative coming up. A lot of it is Trump was really, really revealing that we have stuff that's out of this world. He said, and he's publicly stated this, we have things no one's ever dreamed of. It's the stuff of dreams. And we have it, and it's legit, and it works. And I think that's back-engineered stuff. So I think what they're doing now is they know that that administration's investigating everything. So I think what they did was they didn't want to be investigated. They clammed up a bit, but then they switched the narrative to what's currently going on, immigration. And then they'll switch it also to conflict in the Middle East, and you're not caring about UAPs at this point. Gas prices are going to go through the roof. That's what you're going to be caring about.
Mm-hmm.
So it not only just helped to distract people from the truth, and the people that were lying kind of get they get their own vacation in Tahoe, but it also takes these congressmen and women have other priorities. Then it's on their agenda, but
I honestly don't think that they know shit when it comes
to the congressmen and the women or the people. No, I don't think they know anything.
That's an elected official, I don't think, besides maybe Trump and the current president, so that they know certain capabilities. But I honestly don't think that anybody else, whoever this Luna person is and all of these people, I don't think they know anything, because this is all that deep state shadow government, Lockheed Martin, old guys buried in the basement of the frickin' Pentagon doing all this stuff for years.
And it's not only that, it's layers upon layers of lies intermingled with
compartmentalized.
Truth. Right. and they do that purposely so they can deny it. So now,
Sure.
and it's also a lot of private sector individuals that are, that are getting
Absolutely.
stuff. But when you see some new technology that's cool that's coming out, that's where it came from.
Look, I know people are going to have a fit when I say this, but USAID, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to be very careful what I say.
Be very careful because
let me just okay. Michelle's over there making faces at me. And,
I always
and
make faces. What are you talking about?
I know, but USAID, I don't think is anything compared to what the actual shadow government's all really about. USAID, the reason everybody's so PO'd about it is because they put it now underneath Marco Rubio, which means that USAID is now have oversight into the money for the state. The State Department now has oversight, and they didn't have it before. And that's where all these NGOs were set up, and they were going and destabilizing all of these countries and stuff. That's why we were sending money over to, I don't know, Romania for transgender operas or whatever the case, right? It wasn't for that. It was for paying somebody off to do something within the government or to rile up a group of people to protest, right? So that, if you think that's bad, that's nothing. That when it comes to the military industrial complex, USAID, the regime change people and the money and sending, $60 million a month,
stuff.
It's nothing. It's nothing. That's why right now there's a $35 trillion black hole just from the government alone right now, or for the Pentagon. Right? It's dude, this is why people in other countries are so PO'd at the United States. We have been doing this crap for years.
Decades.
Years upon years, yeah. Yeah.
And then you get the black budget people, right?
Yep.
That have higher clearances than the president.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you don't have a need to know, sir.
Yeah,
You're
you don't
out
have a need to know.
4 years, at best 8 years.
Right.
And
so
you don't need to know.
They're the ones that make sure that toilet seat cover costs $10,000,
Right.
and the hammer costs because that's going to what they're building.
Correct.
Thor, hammer, and
And I really like how they make these. Right, we're sending pallets of food over to X country, and it costs $50 billion. Well, you see, you got to think about, we need the truck drivers. We got to hire the truck drivers and have the trucks and pay for the shipping. And then they go to the shipping, the ports, and then they get lifted, and all this stuff costs money. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That much money? Right.
What portion did the CIA use?
Yeah. Right. Right. Now let's talk about the fake company you set up in other countries.
Yep.
Okay. With tons of money that you use to feed the opposition to whatever political party in some other person's country that you want to set up regime change. Let's ask Gaddafi how that worked. Let's ask Assad how that worked. Right. This is why. And this has been going on for years. That's why I always say, I might be more leaning right than I am left, but you should listen to the stuff that the people on the left have to say, because our hands are not clean in this country.
No,
they're not.
It's super interesting. And in light of what took place like a day ago with one of the in your state, right? Oh, was that Michigan? With the attempted, or was it Michigan attempted assassinations?
No, that's Minnesota. That was
Minnesota.
That was a carried out assassination of two people. The other two survived. Yeah,
right. So
crazy.
And it again, this is this is not to be political. I'm not being political here, but
Right.
you have to understand the philosophy, the mindset, to understand how the UFO narrative goes and what directions they go. Bigfoot will go this way, So the individual, very distraught, votes to do the right thing for American citizens, but it goes against the party.
But not only that guy,
Yeah.
if you dig into him, his security company, he was basically, and if this is true, this is all alleged, right? But you can read his dossier and his CV out there, what he did. He ran a security company. And the security company was called, I think, Red Dragon something or other. And they brought people over from the Republic of Congo.
Yeah.
To where? Minnesota. So they're basically bringing people over. I don't know if it's legal or not, but now they have no way to provide them with the benefits that they promised those people to come over here to work, and they've been cut off. Oh, that's gonna right now. How is he gonna pay for his stuff, dude? It's a whole, and I'm sure it's so much darker than anything I freaking know or can probably. Well, I could probably think of some really dark stuff.
Yeah, I think we all can, but it again, this also goes back to the military industrial
dude.
Yeah,
it's
sad, but it goes also back to the military industrial sector and the people in alphabet agencies that they have no loyalty or allegiance to anyone but themselves.
Yeah.
And it's another distraction for whatever their narratives are. So what do you think would happen, Wayne and Michelle? What do you think would happen if the government said, yeah, we have UFOs, we have capability of going light speed, blah, 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 all this other stuff. We've had them for years. What do you think would happen in this country or the world?
Ooh, see, that's tough because you talk about the waters being muddied so much. I don't think 80% of the people would believe it. And then the other 80% of people would sit there and go, well, which political party is saying that we have X, Y, and Z?
Yep.
Yeah. And then they'll break it down.
Yeah.
So you could literally come out and say, we have UFOs, extraterrestrials exist. And then what happens is the weaponization comes out.
Yep. There it is.
Oh, those were Republicans and they lied to you. That's why you have to vote this way. Or those are blah, blah, blahs. And they're always lying. You can learn the truth. A lot of times it's right out in front of your face. Okay.
Hidden in plain sight.
Exactly. You want to hide something? That's like, okay, we wear glasses. You ever do oh my God, where's my glasses?
Yep.
All the time. On top of your head. Michelle, what do you think? What's your answer?
And I agree with Brian on this one. As far as
reality is so fragmented, right?
Yeah.
And we are so driven.
I mean, we see what they do on social media and on the news right now. It's absolutely crazy. So you throw something like this into the mix.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I just got tagged
what
on
is
something.
A woman, Brian? What is a woman? I see this garbage on the internet and stuff. What is a man? You see that stuff, and that is the weaponization of disinformation.
That
because
and
they're looking for that gotcha moment. What do you mean you wouldn't date a trans woman? You're a bigot. What are you talking?
I would just hire the Secretary of Truth, Andrew Dice Clay, to explain to everybody.
Yes. We would also have to bring Cat Williams into the mix too, because that man's on fire.
And we might as well let's get P. Diddy out of jail too. Maybe he could help.
No,
Cat it started with Jamie Foxx.
Oh man.
Well, it started a bit with Jamie Foxx when he was poisoned, and Cat Williams came out and told everything, and then after that, the whole floodgates opened up.
Oh man.
And let me tell you something. That is this much of the problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a bigger gap.
And
this is the problem
We're
of why
so dark. We're so dark as a species, man.
Well, yeah, but this is why nothing. This is why when extraterrestrials fly by Earth, they're like, lock the door. Lock
Roll
the door.
up the windows.
It's like that scene in National Lampoon's Vacation. Excuse me, Holmes, how do I get to the highway from here? And the guy's like, fuck your mom, or whatever. And like, oh, the UFO's coming over. I'm like, so you take Vanderbilt down to Malcolm X, and they're jacking up the UFO and stealing something off of it. This is what our world is about. And this is why, circling back, extraterrestrials of multiple kinds are just so disappointed in human beings. We have so much potential. I mean, you're both teachers, right? So do you have, well, I grew up with it. My mom was a teacher, and I grew up with a lot of teachers. And I mean, do you have those kids in your class, or have you come, I don't know, maybe every year or whatever, and you're like, wow, this kid has so much damn potential, but he keeps screwing it up.
Yep.
And you're trying to get through to them, but they know better. Just like,
dude, I can see it.
Yep.
Like, I can see it in kids, especially the kids that I worked with. Now I'm going to be starting at a new school, but for the last 9 years, the amount of potential and stuff I've seen with kids from the inner city is ridiculous. But you know what? They're all distracted. They're all going to be NFL and NBA players, but they don't get up and shoot baskets for an hour.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
They don't even play on a team, but they think they're going to be on a team. It's that, again, cognitive dissonance. Mom said, I'm going to be great, therefore I'm going to, and I don't even have to try. Right.
Yeah.
Dude, it is so bad. And you just held up your phone and were playing on your
number
phone.
one problem.
I was using the,
number one problem. Yep.
I heard on YouTube, I saw a 15-minute short, or a 15-second short, that, President Obama is going to be paying for everything. I've heard that before. They're just whatever, like.
What kind of existence is that? Let's say that it happens. Then what?
My mother was a special ed teacher.
Yeah,
and
that's hard work, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, she and the Board of Education in New York City didn't even appreciate her. They tried to get her fired, but she got a girl that had not spoken in 12 years to speak for the first time. Made the cover of New York Times. They wanted to fire her because she has a limp. She had a bad back surgery. It was negligence, right? Another one of her kids, she's like, oh, I'm going to take him home. We're going to take him home for the holidays. And I'm like, no, you're not. I mean, she taught in some of the worst neighborhoods. And about 15 years after she said that, that cute little kid that she's going to take home was arrested for shooting at two people from the roof of a building. So that's a totally different story. But, I've been around the school system. My mother thought, why, like I wasn't doing well in school. I just did. I had like a 70, anywhere from 75, 78, right? So I went to all those universities way back when, NYU, Columbia, all the top ones. And I met with their psychologists and psychiatrists, and I got IQ testing, to see what I was. And that's when I found out my lowest score. My mother gave me a packet once. My lowest score in an IQ test was 179. And the highest score at Columbia, I remember, because I remember sitting there, said, well, what did he score? He said, we'd love to give you a number. We can't number it that. We don't go that high, but he's well over 200. And everyone said the same thing. Brian would do so much better if he applied himself. And Brian will do what he wants to do when he does it. And that's what I was like. But, I had potential. I could have been a doctor, I wasn't going to be a sports guy, whatever. But there's plenty of potential. And that's the problem. They don't want anybody to have potential. Our government doesn't want you to have potential. Because potential breeds success, which breeds, I want to do that.
It breeds questioning of why things are the way they are. And they don't want you questioning, dude. They don't.
They don't want you questioning it. They don't want you to say.
They want you learning the new TikTok dance. That's what they want you to learn, and it's just copying, right? I mean, you're not learning anything. You're just learning how to copy somebody else. And
exactly.
Yeah, dude, it's
and then you have all this stuff, and then you were talking about Twilight. Then they'll get you the Twilight series. They'll put the pretty people over there, and now you're distracted by the pretty people.
Yeah,
and it's cool now if you're trans or bi or whatever.
Yeah.
Growing up, when I was growing up, and I'm near your age, none of us cared what you were. We didn't care.
It was because that wasn't your identity.
Right. I mean, yeah.
So, it wasn't your identity.
I met somebody around the corner. My friend moved back in, and it's a girl, and she's transitioning into a man, and she's trying to act all tough and stuff. And when you don't subscribe, I'm very cordial. You're entitled to your beliefs. She started like, oh, you don't believe I can do it? Or, as a man, I can do it. I'm like, I know you believe what you believe, but I don't need to take part in your mental issue. I see things otherwise. Live your life, but don't drag me into it, because you're not going to like the response from me.
Yeah.
And it's Father's Day, and I know some fathers. I have friends, you would never have known they were gay. We knew they were gay. Like this guy was like, women slid off the seat when he walked into a bar. We'll just say it that way. And you were the wingman, and you got the leftovers of whatever. He had no interest in them. We knew it. We knew what he was. And then when he finally had the courage to come out, as we're discussing, do we want to go downtown for Chinese food at Chinatown, or we're going to go for like X, Y, and Z? He's like, guys, I'm gay. And we're like, well, do you want pizza or whatever? He goes, but I just told you I'm gay. I'm like, dude, we knew you were gay 4 years ago. Yeah. What do you want to eat? We don't care, because I support everybody. That is not my choice. It's like your choice. I will support you. You have every right to it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of this stuff that's prevalent. It's the weaponization of things now that screw everything up.
Sure.
We had a little private thing about quantum tunneling.
Yep. Got it right here.
Yeah. And it gets into this stuff. And what was it? Mass extraterrestrial. Oh, Jesus. METI.
Yeah. So messaging extraterrestrial intelligences, right? Using quantum tunneling. And so people, this was one of the things I wanted to talk to Bryan about, because I'm wondering, some of the ethics of some of this stuff now, because they say that these people, I have a video queued up, but I don't know if I can use it. It's from another podcaster. It's Professor Simon Holland. And
how long is the video?
It's a couple minutes, but I don't know if he's under Creative Commons or not on his YouTube. So I'll just explain it the best way that I understand it and what it is. So quantum tunneling is basically taking away all the physics that we understand for communication. Okay, so instead of radio waves, right, going to a radio or to the moon or to Voyager 1, and you got to wait for that time delay, using quantum tunneling provides a way that you don't follow those, and you go on the subatomic level into the quantum level, where you have that spooky action at a distance that Einstein talked about. Well, they've proven it. They've done it. And the professor, I don't know where he's at, because they keep things very secretive, and he's in some European country where they've done this now, and he's proven it, that they can do communication in an instant, regardless of the distance, using this quantum tunneling. So if you want to think about it like this, let's say Bryan goes to the moon and I want to talk to him. It's going to be about a 3 or 4 second delay using radio waves. But let's say I built a very long, thin metal rod, and it goes all the way to the moon, and it's in Bryan's hand. If I'm holding one end of that rod and Bryan's holding the other end, and I push it a little bit to get his attention, he's going to feel that immediately. And that's what quantum tunneling does with communication. It's sending these signals through the quantum field instantaneously. So these people did it. Well, they put on a receiver onto a machine. If you guys want to check out Simon Holland, Professor Simon Holland, as he talks about this, he was on the show Vet It, and he also talked about it on his own YouTube channel, and he does a great job, explaining it, and that's kind of how he explained it. But he can't give, I guess the people that are doing this want to use him. They contacted him and said, we want to come on your YouTube channel when we are ready to break this. But everything is secret right now. He said that they first set up a transmitter to receive signals from the quantum field, and it was communication. But they don't know what it said. So they went next and they set up a transmitter, and they transmit it, and they got a response. Now, who they're talking to, where it went, who got it, who's been sending stuff, it's anybody's game. And this guy's pretty smart, and I don't think he would say something that wasn't true. But is this weaponization? Is this disinformation? Well, I got one thing, Brian, and then I'm gonna set you loose on this.
Sure.
Let me go ahead and share this with you. This comes from our good friend Mary Joyce over at Skyships Over Cashiers website. Check this out. Once I find it, where is it? Right here. She put out this article the other day. Contact. It's on the front page. Newly discovered deep space signal repeats every 44 minutes. An object in deep space is broadcasting radio waves. So this is following our current physics. Okay. Broadcasting radio waves and X-rays every 44 minutes. Each broadcast lasts for 2 minutes. The repetitive signal is being picked up by 2 observatories, Australia's Square Kilometer Array Pathfinder and NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory satellite. It is believed by many that the signals could only be generated by an intelligent source. This Contact magazine cover features some of the antennas at the ASKAP Observatory. The magazine is published by the Square Kilometer Array organization. So there you go, Brian.
So when you did the analogy with the metal rod, actually it wouldn't be it would be quick, but it wouldn't, because there is a distance factor and there are also physical constraints. You know how heavy it would be, right?
It would be instantaneous as far as we were concerned. So, that's the whole point with that.
So the way it is that point, but it works on, like, when you get into the quantum realm, time doesn't exist, space doesn't, distance doesn't exist. It's instantaneous. And what happens is, on a subatomic and quantum level, things will just divide enough just to go through things or try to go around all instantaneously. That's how quick it is. Everybody, when we talk about what is the fastest thing in the current world today, and most people say, well, the speed of light, that is the fastest. No, it's thought. And this is why quantum tunneling, or contact using thought, your consciousness, is done. It's done with extraterrestrials all the time. Let's go back to that point where we're all in a field, everybody's there, we're drinking some Strawberry Boone's Farm, listen to some good music, and you go, Michelle, look at that UFO there. Well, that UFO is only allowing you to see it, and it is using this quantum tunneling to block her from seeing it and everybody else. We're like, Wayne's tripping at this point. No, Wayne, you're actually seeing it. It is the frequency that you are. It's very targetable. And this is what these, have you ever heard the stories? Because I've done it. I've used my mind, and I was speaking to 130 people out in an open field, and I pointed and I said, can you go out to those mountains and do some maneuvers? And I was making shapes with my fingers, 90 degrees, whatever. And in an instant, this craft left, and it did it. It's not because they have a hearing thing there and they're listening to me. They tapped into this. And unbeknownst to me, they can do that. And this is where it gets crazy, because if they can hear what your thoughts, this is why you don't have to pray out loud. God can hear you, that you're designed that way. So if they can hear your thoughts and use it and do something, like for themselves, like you said, I wish there would be, alligators that flew from the sky, and alligators start coming out because they made it happen. What do you think they can do by implanting in your head?
Correct.
And then who weaponizes that?
Right. Well,
And this is where, the remote viewing thing, like your psychic other half, Michelle, I'd still love the fact that you do what you do. That is part of it. We're tapping into the frequency of the bigger picture, and we get glimpses of it. We get to see it. It's kind of like scrolling through, like if you had a giant book that was life and everything was going to take place past, present, and future, and everyone, and someone started thumbing through it, and it's, the pages are going, you're getting a glimpse of something. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And it's really cool when you do it. Sorry, I'll stop now.
Well, Michelle does it, and she doesn't even realize she's doing it. But just so everybody knows, because I saw some questions in chat, the Chandra X-ray Observatory is part of NASA's fleet of great observatories, along with the Hubble Space Telescope, the Spitzer Space Telescope, and the now deorbited Compton Gamma Ray Observatory.
Straight out of Compton.
Yeah,
I'm not going to
go. Chandra allows scientists from around the world to obtain X-ray images of exotic environments to help understand the structure and evolution of the universe. Yeah, good luck with that.
Well, this is the whole point. So you see the graphic behind me, the little different, like consider those atoms and stuff. Your brain and your body and your cells are made, I think they're called tubules, and they're these. Looks like a Chinese finger stick. They're super small, but that's what keeps these atoms and cells and gives them the shape. And there's a couple of studies on that as they get bigger and wider and they vibrate more, they wiggle, whatever's in there, and they excrete, we're able to do what we've been talking about. Parents do it all the time, especially mothers. They know, like, oh my God, my daughter's in trouble. And you're like, how do you know that? Did she call? Or you just get it. There's a connection there.
Yeah.
And it's an innate ability we have. When God created man in his image, not that we're gods, but if he's the Father, he's creating you in his image. God can communicate without moving his mouth, whatever it is, and get directly into the source. That's when Michelle does what she does. I do it now. I do it so much. I used to need like a few minutes to get into like a zone or something like that. Nope. And I'm sure Michelle reads a lot of people without realizing she's reading a lot of people. My youngest does it. And I got to bring her down a level, because she'll come up to you and like she goes to my friend and she'll say, well, why don't you put a ring on it? She's like 13, and I'm like, bring it down, sweetie, bring it down.
Bring it down, yeah.
But she knew, like, yeah. I had to go to the hospital one day, like a couple months ago, because I was doing some stupid exercise and I strained, but I didn't want to make sure it wasn't any heart related. And she was at the fair and I was at the fair, and I said, I got to go now. I want to get this done. She knew I was going before I even knew. She tapped into it. So continue on. I don't know what you were showing.
Well, what I wanted to do is show you what Michelle does.
Oh, there we go. Yes. Here we go.
Yeah. So this was from our prediction show, December 30th of 2024.
What is up with that? Dude, you gotta work on my facial expressions.
And don't
when you
worry,
stop.
it won't be like that for
recording.
long. All right, so
It's like a bad Chips episode. Go ahead.
So I want to play Michelle's predictions here, or the main one, and then I'm going to go to Brian's. That Brian wasn't on the show, but he sent us a video of his predictions, and we played it on the day. So here's what Michelle said. Check this out, everybody. And this is why Gemma sits here and says that you are what you are.
Well, we'll see. That one definitely to come.
So this is December
government.
30th.
Well, I think it's going to be a while before we hear the word stable. So this one, I was kind of weary about putting this out in the universe, or definitely, in a live, but I feel like there's some sort of attack on the horizon, and not necessarily in January or February. So, because I know that everybody wants to pinpoint around the inauguration. Unfortunately, Trump's got a huge bullseye on his back, and I think that we have let too many into this country that don't necessarily have the same ideals about the American way.
You mean like the best intentions of coming
They
here?
definitely do not have the best intentions. I'm all about, different insurgent groups. And I definitely feel something. And it probably started with like the drones flying over the East Coast, but now that they've spread into other areas as well, even as, Wright Patterson, we've had people reporting drones around the thumb area of Michigan, but nothing has really panned out.
Okay. So that was Michelle tapping into that quantum back on December 30th. Nobody was talking about immigration or any of this kind of stuff. By the way, you're muted, Brian.
Sorry about that.
I checked my microphone too, just to make sure.
But very, very interesting. So there was that from Michelle, and this was at different times. So now I want to go.
And this was after the assassination attempt. Although I find it very interesting that was the assassination attempt in June or July of last year. I think it was July.
July, I believe.
Yeah, July.
Okay.
I want to go to Brian's predictions here, and there's one that I really I really got to play. That's let me make sure I got the right time here.
I'm not responsible for what I say.
Well, you kind of are, and it's on video. No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm fine. I own what I say, so
if anybody
it is what it is.
We're responsible for anything or not, we're stupid. So, all right, here we go. So let me share this with everybody. So this was Brian sent in this, and we played this video as the prediction show, as part of the prediction show. And this by far is my favorite one.
That's a great face right there too.
Right.
You gave us a classic.
You gave us a great look at Michelle's RBF. She's mad at somebody.
I rock RBF. Are you kidding me?
But just listen to this.
I got two that do it pretty well too.
Look,
there is something to this stuff. I'm telling you guys, and there's a connection with some of these people in positions of power. There's a darkness to them.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know how else to say it, but check this out.
Rippling effect. And it's almost like the earth is undulating.
So this is you talking about earthquake.
And that could be more global changes as we move into 2025, maybe brought on by objects outside of our or within our solar system.
Close calls.
So look for that earth changes, ripples, tidal waves. They're coming. And
right there
again, I did see JD Vance getting sworn in and not as vice president. I don't believe Elon Musk is as good a person as some people may.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you know what, I was looking back because things, I don't normally pay attention to the news, like it's on, but when you hear it, and I just remembered like, oh, Bill said something about that. I've been saying something about that. And if you took what we both said and you really kind of lined it up, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be like the color blue came out and the color blue came out. We're giving you
the gist,
real true information and something, the event, but we also then use our own little weird psychic pareidolia to make it fit into certain things not necessarily true. And let me tell you, when you do a remote view, one of them, if you watch the Future Forecasters group, Dick Alger is great. I mean, his group is great. They have these things where they've done these remote views and they publicly talk about them, and they're 1, 2 years, 3 years old. And then the event takes place. So it's considered a hit. I'm not trying to do this to boost anything. There's a lot of things I said I did not want to come to fruition.
Correct.
But
now, I want to keep playing this.
Sure.
All right. I want everybody to listen. This is we aired this. This was the only time this was aired on December 30th, on our December 30th show, our prediction show for 2025. It is now 6 months into 2025.
Yeah.
I want you guys to keep listening to this and think about some of the stuff Michelle said too. All right. Michelle, was the JD Vance thing the thing that was throwing you?
Yeah. So when he said about JD Vance, that was the same, very close to what I was thinking. But like I said, not within the January, February timeline. Too many eyes right now.
Yeah.
Too many cards being held and not played yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's just keep going. We got about 2 minutes left here.
There is something not right about that man. And but we're going to see him take more of a role.
And I just want to say I agree with I don't have any thoughts on Elon in the future. To me, I agree with Brian. And maybe I don't know, it's just his personality or something, but I'm talking about Elon. There's something about Elon Musk that just does not seem genuine or something. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Something's not right
in government, which I'm not comfortable with personally. There will be some civil unrest, of course, given who's coming into office. But all in all, the world will eventually overcome a lot of this, and it will be a better place, and we will be moving more into the future. There's going to be new medications, new procedures that help to benefit everybody and make their lives better. That's a little bit
hold on
2025. And some of them, I hope I'm wrong. And others, if you can capture some financial security for yourself with very little money, now may be the time to start to invest. So it could be a good future for everybody. But all in all, it looks great, especially if you're a cardinal sign, one of the four. This is your time. The next 15 years are your oyster, and you better go get it. And for the other signs, it may be a rough ride. So that's it. And
that's
one more thing. I did see a lot more of extraterrestrial base kind of presence being known, capturing radio stations, TVs with messages. Now, I feel it's a little bit more extraterrestrial or interdimensional, but given what the government's doing lately,
Okay.
It's going to get better. I mean,
What?
like, this is going to be better. Go ahead.
Yeah. Look at what we were just talking about.
Yep.
Quantum tunneling.
Yep.
And contact.
I mean, it's going to be, I the way I envisioned it, is, in all seriousness, and I'll watch the hockey game that's coming up, but I don't normally watch this stuff. But they'll be watching whatever it is, like, that show with the Australian people. I forgot the name of it. It's like some drama soap opera. And there'll be a transmission, no matter what you're watching, that will take over your screen, and you will see something coming into your screen, and everybody will be talking about it. That's how they're going to disclose to us. And I believe it's coming this year. Not a joke. Not a cliff high, hey, humans, and talking about El and the cult of El, and because he gets into racist, blah blah. What you got to take him and cut it down a little bit. I don't just take him as the gospel, and he has influences in his stuff too that kind of negate what he says. But I really just think these beings are like, you know what? They're screwing stuff up. We're on the verge of a real nuclear conflict. Whether it's, I don't think it's Russia or us. I think it's what's currently taking place in the Middle East right now. And I did a remote view of that in 2024, by the way. I posted my notes, and I still think it's going to happen. I mean, and the city, I do a drawing of the city, and you can see what I drew. It looked like these cylinders or whatever, some geometric shapes. And there's a shot that you see, and you see the three, almost exactly what I drew. So that mountain's going to be gone. The Iranian mountain's gone. We're in trouble.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough ride. So,
yeah.
All right, Brian, it's always great to talk to you and have you on. And we're close to 2 hours right now. And I want to wrap this up. What in the world do you got going on coming up on your show, Third Eye Live? And where can people find you and all that good stuff?
No problem. You can find me on YouTube at Bryan Bowden. That's just below my Bryan M. Bowden name. Just like that. Subscribe to me, please. Like, share, smash the like button.
Yes.
It makes a really good Father's and Mother's Day gift. And the 4th of July is coming up, which happens to be my birthday. So as a birthday present, just go click, click, click. And we're on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Usually, unless somebody's going really, really well and you don't want to stop them, I'm not going to, I got to cut you off at a certain point. We all have lives after this. This week we have Brent Thomas from the network with, Donnie Cho and Tex and Rob and everything. And he's coming on my show. He asked me on his show. So I said, you want to come in? I don't like doing summer months because, got to be honest, a lot of people should be out, having a fun time during the summer,
Yep.
And you don't
just
know
like
who's going to
right
be
now,
watching
nobody
it.
should be watching this show on Father's Day. I don't understand.
Yeah, I was worried, but you know what?
It's the worst show ever.
This is something fathers would do. If you're into it, this is what you
That's
do.
right.
But I wish, Mother's Day, forget it. You'd be, put to the stake. But so I have Brent Thomas coming on, and he's going to be on the first half of the show, and then I'm going on his. So it's going to be like 4 hours of fun. And then after that, we've got the lovely ladies of Blondes and Booze.
Oh, yeah.
Brandy and Krista.
Yep.
And then we have Mark Eddy coming up right after that, and basically ask Mark any questions. And, he wrote a book, Lake Lizards, and some other stuff. I don't know the mass title right now, but we'll be talking to him about that. Yeah, thank you. I love that number. So we had a 999, a 333. Now all we need is a 666 to complete the Trinity.
Well, I will guarantee you that I will be up at 3:33 again this coming morning. So
I literally was doing, I got up And I'm like, what time? I turned my phone on, and it was 4:44. So I take a screenshot, and then I had to go out and do something, go get some dinner for us. So I went out to the store, and I looked at my phone to see, who called me. 4:44.
Yeah.
I've been hitting it a lot. Listen, if you have that stuff, it's not just synchronicity. It's important signs.
There's something, yeah, because I get 3:33 all the time, either 3:33 a.m. or when I was at work and I want to know what time it is after the kids have walked out. I always check my phone or look up at the wall or my computer, and it's 3:33. It's just nonstop. So,
do you guys gamble? I mean, besides with each other, on each other. So I don't gamble because the last 2 times I gambled, I lost one of my good friends. I won like $960. Lost my friend Andy.
Thank you, Diane.
He died. And then the next time I went out, we did it for like the anniversary thing, and I won, I guess, around $900 playing War, mind you. War, like, the card game. And my grandmother died, so I kind of got spooked. But playing roulette, you should try this. But limit what you're gonna do. If it's a $5 table, just go, okay, save $20, get $5 in chips each, and go, this is the number we're going to bet on, and flip that phone and say, what time is it? And if it says 2:32, you can play 23, you can play 32, you can play 2, and 3, put it down and see if it, I have a feeling that that's
it might
part
work.
of life. Yeah, why not?
Why not? If he doesn't try it, I'll try it.
Yeah. I have my general numbers, but all right. Enough talking about gambling strategy. Let's get ready to get out of here.
We're out of here,
everybody. So make sure you guys go and check out Bryan. You said it's Wednesday nights.
Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m. Eastern. Great guest on there. A great
Thank you very much.
A great guy. And we love having you on, Bryan, and having these chats. And
I appreciate being asked. It's an honor.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to say it. I'm happy that you two are part of my life. So I do appreciate you both.
Well, we're both cancers.
Yeah, we are. We're moody fuckers, aren't we?
Yeah.
But we love like no one else.
That's right. That's right.
See, and cancers pair well with Virgos.
Yep.
Yes, they do. But, cancers like to eat. And I'm just going to leave it like that. Forget it. We're getting
all right.
Have a good time. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, Bryan. Have a great night.
I got her.
All right. To the back.
We're talking about.
Oh, man. Well, this has been a crazy ride, you guys. I knew it was going to be. I see Scorpios here. Who is that? Nathan. Yeah. All right, everybody. Michelle, I think we're ready to rock and roll and get out of here. What do you think?
I think so. We need to.
Especially on that.
Oh, yeah.
I think I need a cigarette after that. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Michelle?
Have a great night, everyone.
All right. And is your mic on? Okay.
Yeah. So don't forget, next Sunday we will not be on, but we can't wait to share our travel stories. God knows what we'll see out in Tahoe. You just never know.
Yeah. I have a strange feeling when we get out there, we're gonna find out about some kind of news out there.
Or as long as it's not a bear walking into a casino.
Right. Well, yeah, there's that too. But anyways, everybody, have a great night. Thank you for joining us on Father's Day 2025. It's been a wild weekend, a wild couple of days, and just stay safe out there. And as always, keep those eyes to that
sky.
Is it sky?
It is the sky.
All right.